Teens. The sheriff says 18-year-old Devin Clark and 14-year-old Lyric Woods were found dead off Buckhorn Road yesterday afternoon. A memorial now sits where men on four-wheelers found the victims.
And family members say Clark was a student and a football player at Eastern Alamance High School. Deputies say it appears someone shot them, but they are still looking into it. Family told us they want answers.
I want to get justice, and I don't care about where I got to go, what I got to do, who I got to talk to. I'm going to keep going and keep doing it because at the end of the day, my son did not deserve to get brutal the way that he did.
Investigators say both victims were reported missing by their families over the weekend. They say even though the medical examiner has not officially identified the victims, they match the missing persons' descriptions. No information about what might have led up to these deaths have been released. We will keep you updated.
Well, today millions watched as the world said goodbye to Queen Elizabeth II. Final processions took the Queen's coffin through London to Westminster Abbey for her funeral. The royal family and more than 2,000 guests filled the centuries-old church to honor the late monarch who died at the age of 96. She had planned many of her funeral details, including the revised national anthem, God Save the King. Her coffin was then taken to St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. She will be buried in a private ceremony next to her husband, Prince Philip. In addition to those invited to the services, hundreds of thousands lined the streets and watched in parks.
It's a very good send-off. The Queen means so much to me.
Quite emotional because she's been, our Queen for a lot of years. We're never going to see another real Queen.
Dozens of world leaders attended the Queen's funeral, including President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden. Here in America, the Queen's legacy was remembered. Several bars in Washington, D.C. and New York opened early to let people come in and watch together. One pub previously opened early for royal weddings, so they said it was only fitting to open today. Many who got up to watch were British or had ties to Europe and said they wanted a place of community to watch the funeral.
I really admired her steadfast devotion to her people and her country and her family.
I wanted to feel connected, I think, to everybody back home, and it's the end of an era.
Millions were expected to watch the funeral either at home or in large groups, especially in the UK. Blanca Cobb, who has a master's in psychology, joins us now. Blanca, let's get right to it. Why do people tend to gather in groups when saying goodbye?
A lot of times people want to watch a public funeral like this with other people because it gives them comfort. It lets them know that they're not alone. Grief can be a very lonely experience, but when you're with others, sometimes it gives people the courage to even say goodbye.
So my next question is, how does mourning in groups help people heal?
When you mourn in groups, you're pulling off of strengths of other people. You're pulling on each other's strengths. You're processing the death together. You're talking about it. That's how you're processing it. This is how you're making sense of your feelings and how you're coping. It's very interesting, and you can learn something when you talk to other people about how they cope and how this experience has really resonated with them. What did the person who passed away, what did that person mean to other people? It's a group process, and it gives you a lot of time for reflection. It's also validating for you when you can see how other people grieve. And also, a last thought is how you heal is by how you remember and how you're going to honor the person who passed. And from all the stories we've seen on social media, Queen Elizabeth has definitely made an impact on the lives of many across the world.
So what's something to be careful of when watching funerals together with others?
Remember this, people grieve in different ways and at different times. So there's 5 stages of grief. There's denial, there's anger, bargaining, depression, sadness, and then acceptance. So a lot of misunderstandings can happen if you don't understand the grieving process. For example, let's say that somebody's still in denial. They can't believe that this has happened. Or somebody else might be in acceptance, that final stage. When you don't understand how the other person is feeling or where they're coming from, it can lead to misunderstandings, which can lead to crosswords, if you will.
Very, very helpful, very insightful. Thanks so much, Blanca. You can continue the conversation with Blanca on her Facebook page, Blanca Cobb, Body Language Expert.
Dig into it's Ben Briscoe here. One of the biggest moments from the funeral talked about online came from something really small on her coffin during the service. Some eagle-eyed viewers noticed right here a spider crawling around. Most likely coming out of those flowers, the insect was mentioned thousands of times online within just minutes. We have more vivid details and behind-the-scene moments coming up just like this on Dig Into It at 5:45.
The Guilford County Health Department says they are all stocked up on boosters this fall. They are offering both the new Moderna and Pfizer boosters, which target the Omicron variant. The CDC and FDA recommended Moderna vaccines for people over 18 and Pfizer for people over 12 who have a primary or booster dose from at least 2 months ago. It's estimated that 1 in 5 adults who have had COVID-19 suffer from long COVID, months, even years after being infected. Now researchers in New Jersey are testing a treatment that could help those suffering with the often debilitating symptoms.
Because we know COVID is an inflammatory process, could fish oil supplements minimize the inflammation, which in turn is possibly causing these long-term symptoms?
This research could help long COVID patients with the remaining symptoms. Previous studies in Europe and Israel report positive results from using these omega-3s. Right now, there are about 30 participants in the study. All of them are healthcare workers.
Temperatures will be leading the weather conversation here at home for the next several days, starting with your Monday. 84 has been the highest temperature we've reached in Greensboro, 85 in Burlington, same in Siler City, also at an 85. Everyone around those low to mid 80s. Now, as we compare this to yesterday, well, this is a big difference. Some folks seeing a couple of degrees warmer as compared to yesterday. Other folks feeling a more significant change. 4-degree difference in Greensboro, 4-degree difference in Asheboro, Lexington, jumping just 2 degrees from 24 hours ago. Now, as we move through the next couple of days, we're going to see temperatures even warmer than this. And like I said, that's why the temperature conversation will be leading most of what we talk about this upcoming week. So we're talking the temperatures climbing in some locations upwards of around those upper 80s and low 90s, 88 in Burlington, 87 in Greensboro, 86 in Winston-Salem for tomorrow. Again, this is a forecast potential. Now, as we go through the week, it gets even hotter. Your Wednesday numbers increasing around 90 degrees, and I won't be surprised if some folks actually hit the nail on the head with the 90. Not only Wednesday, but also on Thursday. The good news is cold front moves through and temperatures fall, and that's going to we're going to all feel it as early as Friday. So 70s, that's where things stop on Friday. Unlike today where we were still on the climb when we got 70, well, on Friday, that's where things end. And then as we go through the weekend, it's going to all around be the same. So although it will feel like summer, through Thursday after that fall equinox invites cooler air.
Well, it's been a rough start to the season for the Carolina Panthers. The team now 0-2 after back-to-back pretty close losses.
Will week 3 be a win the team and fans are hoping to see? WFMY News 2's Amanda Ferguson joins us now with how the team is responding.
Guys, it's not time to completely panic. We're only 2 games into the season, but there is definitely a concern here, especially because losing is spilling over from last season. The Panthers hold the longest active losing streak in the league with 9 straight. And here's what head coach Matt Rule said after the game.
That's 2 games in a row where we've come down to the very end with a chance to win the game and have come up short both times. And, you know, I take full responsibility for that. You know, that's my job. That falls on me. And I have to help these guys find a way to just make one more play and win the game. And they're trying, they're grinding, they're working. I thought they left it all on the field today. And but we are coming up just a play or 2 short.
So the problem is we've heard these exact same words now for going on 3 seasons.
It's true. That's what I was just talking to Amanda during that quote there. I feel like that he hasn't quite found the groove. I know the team hasn't. They'll have flashes of greatness for half a quarter. All of a sudden you're like, wow, look at this, you know. But it's like this, and if you end the game when you're down here, we lose by 2 points, and it's frustrating.
And here's the thing, in the record books, there's no, the Carolina Panthers almost won next to
Right.
it. There's no asterisk next to it. It's a loss is a loss.
So who does it fall on? You know, we get these new players and they're like, it's going to be a great season. Does it fall on the team or is it the leadership?
So it falls, at the end of the day, it falls on Matt Rule. But here's the thing, he's not out there dropping passes.
Okay.
He's not out there missing plays. I mean, because that's the thing. I mean, the Panthers had 3 big drops. They should not have dropped the ball. That they could have turned into touchdowns with that, and an interception they missed. So that doesn't fall on him, but the coaching does play a huge part, and we're not seeing results from that Rule.
And it's one thing to be beaten by 3 touchdowns. It's another when you're consistently losing by just a few points. That's when I don't know if you can totally go to the coach with it when you're that close. Amanda's right. Big plays, you need big playmakers. You know?
And they have it. That's the thing. They've got
think so,
Christian
too.
McCaffrey. You've got DJ Moore. You have these players that can make big plays. It's why is that not happening?
Do you think with all these losses back to back to back, it's just hitting the morale of the team? Maybe they're getting in their heads a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think if they don't win on Sunday at home against the Saints, I think then Matt Rule is kind of in trouble.
I think so too. I think he definitely is. I'd like for Blanca to do a thing and watch his body language because Matt Rule to me looks like he's a little lost.
I would not be sleeping well.
Yeah, no, that's not true. Got to start looking. All right, Chad.
Well, guys, it's a much brighter outlook for college teams in our state. Check this out. Our ACC schools are all off to winning starts. UNC, Duke, Wake Forest, and NC State are all undefeated at 3-0. It's the first time ever they'll all be undefeated at this point in the season. And we can't talk about the weekend wins without talking about App State. Did you catch the incredible Hail Mary pass that sealed the win over the weekend? The Mountaineers were down against Troy with just 2 seconds left on the clock. Quarterback Chase Bryce threw the Hail Mary just shy of the end zone. One player tipped it up, and Christian Horn grabbed it and ran it in for the touchdown. App State ended up going on to win this one 32-28. The thrilling ending capped off a historic day up on the mountain, starting with College Game Day coming to town, the first time in school history. Hundreds of students camped out the night before to get their spot behind the stage. Thousands ended up turning out for the experience. And country music superstar Luke Combs, who went to App State, was the guest picker. As you know, ESPN picked App State for College Game Day after the thrilling upset over number 6 Texas A&M the week before. I'm telling you, it was an absolute insane day. I mean, you kind of had to have that game end the way that it did just to cap off what had started with College Game Day.
I mean, you beat the number 6 ranked team. Then ESPN comes for the first time and you do a last-second win. They're in a dream season right now.
And I think, I have to admit that, App did not play very well on Saturday.
No.
I mean, they were playing Troy, who they should have easily beaten, and they were losing for much of the game, including down to just 2 seconds left. So fortunately, they were able to pull it off. But I mean, what a day!
So you've been to a ton of App State games.
Yeah.
How was this game different than all of the others you've been to, and what was your favorite part?
This was probably the most exciting finish that I have ever been to in any sport of anything at any level in my entire life. I didn't know when the game ended. I didn't know whether to like scream or cry. Or I mean, our friends were all just like embracing each other, not sure what to do. People were storming the field. I mean, it was unbelievable, and it's sad to say, a third of the fans had left before the game was
no.
over.
Can you imagine?
Because they thought they were going to lose.
But those make the best games when it gets really, tight towards the end, because if you're winning by a ton, you're excited, but it's something different when you win by just that much.
And that play, I mean, it looks like it's just everybody go deep.
Yeah.
But there are set up plays for this. I was talking with Sean about it, where those players get down into a group where they think the ball's going to be, and their job is to jump up and tip it back. They're not trying to catch it. They're trying to knock it out, and somebody else will get it, and it worked like it was practice for them.
And the coach said that after in the post-game press conference.
Oh, he did.
He said, this is something that we practice.
Yes.
Because think about how many teams get into this scenario. It probably only happens once a season, but if you're able to pull it off that once a season, boy, does it make it worth it.
That's a 53-yard pass he threw, too, by the way.
That was wild. And then, of course, they jumped in the duck pond, and now that's become a thing. So
crazy.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. We're coming right back. Stay there.
Hurricane Fiona is lashing the Dominican Republic today. Popular vacation destinations closed beaches and pools and moved tourists inland. The storm left most people on the island of Puerto Rico without power. The local power company has been able to restore electricity to about 100,000 people overnight, but the utility says it could take days to get power back up for the entire island. Flooding is still widespread on the island, which is still trying to rebuild after Hurricane Maria devastated the area back in 2017. And I know, Monique, I think we're all hoping that this moves on quickly.
Yes, Fiona is such a large system, and I'm seeing that on the satellite and radar looping through, we're starting to see an eye beginning to form as the center crosses out of the Dominican Republic. It's just painful when you scroll on social media and you see the flooding images that are out there all across Puerto Rico. When you hear about an entire area without power, it's unbelievable, but that's what's happening in some of those Caribbean islands. And as this storm that's moving very slowly continues to churn, it's going to bring more life-threatening flooding to these areas. And Maria, although it was in 2017, a lot of folks are still recovering. This thing is crawling. It's moving to the northwest at 9 miles per hour. The wind's picking up. Over the weekend, when this low-end Category 1 hurricane was moving through, it was about 85 miles per hour. 5 more miles per hour are actually very significant. When we're talking about a sustained winds of 90 miles per hour, that's ongoing, hitting the same areas over and over again. These model tracks, though, good news for us here in North Carolina, are keeping this well away from us. Now, this will mean that we have dangerous rip currents at our area beaches, but it is expected to not have any direct impacts to the overall continental United States. You can see this track continues to show Fiona strengthening as it approaches Bermuda, but it is expected to stay, again, like I said, well away from the continental United States.
And, you know, and you're dead right when you talk about it's so slow. And when we saw that satellite loop, Puerto Rico would just consistently heavy. Did you say 20 or 30 inches of rain for them, I think, right?
Yeah, like 20 inches. That's what I've seen on images all across social media, people doing rough estimates of the rainfall totals. We're talking a lot of rain. That's what happens a lot when they move very slowly. And I want to make this very clear because it is a Category 1, but those images you're saying, wow, maybe it's at a Category 2, a Category 3, but when it's moving slowly and those winds are hitting very fast for an extended period of time, you get damage like that.
I mean, that's like, you know, when we have like Michael and those, Florence, and the ones that would just crawl across. It's the rain that does the most damage to those poor people. And I can't imagine the entire island out of power. We're gonna have to wait and see how all this. The good news is that cold front that also brings us temperatures in the mid-70s helps us steer this away from us.
Yeah, it helps it to not make its way any closer to us than what it would. So again, rip currents, that's the main thing. Although it's going to be warm for the next couple of days, these larger swells are going to pick up through your Wednesday and your Thursday. So if you do plan to head to the beach, not recommended to get into the water.
Yeah, stay on the beach and just watch from a distance. It'd be too cold for me to get in the water anyway. It's 74 degrees. We'll take a break. We'll see you in a bit.
The Queen's funeral has been a global event. Her 70-plus-year reign leaving such an impact. Some were lucky to meet her while she was queen. Others will just know the stories that will now be a part of history forever.
So I asked you on Facebook, what historical figure would you like to spend one day with and why? Here's what you said. Sarah said Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was honorable until her final days and was a major role model to all women. Jay says, I'd say FDR because I'd love to discuss his military strategies and how he came up with the ideals to help, or ideas I think it meant to say there, to help the economy during the Depression. Bonnie says Princess Diana because of the outpouring of love she gave mankind, even though she had major troubles of her own. An activist and fought hard against apartheid. Jordan said still living, but mine, believe it or not, would be Annie Lennox of the Eurythmics, in case you don't know who that is. He said, I need to settle this sweet dreams are made of this or sweet dreams are made of these debate. Discuss amongst yourselves. Well, and Annie Lennox, if I'm not mistaken, she may be British, but I think her pronunciation of this or these, that's forever been a debate. Sweet dreams are made of these, this,
I never knew that was a debate.
Yeah, I don't know which it is, but.
I think mine would probably have to be like an entertainer of some sort, a musician, probably one that's maybe alive. My favorite musician is Eric Church, so probably him. I don't think I would like talking to like a president or someone who was like a brilliant mind. I'd probably just be bored, honestly.
I chose the Queen actually because I feel like it would be so cool to spend the day in the life of royalty, just to know what that treatment is like, to have people wait on your hand and foot, to be dressed in the finest diamonds and jewelry.
The early Queen, like 50s, 60s Queen, or more recent, you know what I mean?
Honestly, probably the early one. When we saw those videos of her coronation, it just gave me chills just to see, know how grand it was. I think that would be just an experience of a lifetime, if I could do it.
Historical figure for me would be Abraham Lincoln, because he actually had anxiety and panic attacks, and to be that, deal with that and do what he did with our country, I think is pretty cool. And then on the flip side, for entertainment and fun stuff, is my career idol, which was Johnny Carson. Just one day with Johnny Carson. Cool. Oh my gosh.
Or like the Jay Lenos of the world.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I can see you doing that.
I'm going way back though. Johnny, he's
a little bit.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Hi, getting ready to talk about some more behind the scenes moments with the Queen.
All right, I am talking about kids and funerals and how to help them.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the 4 to 5. Eric Chilton here with Chad Silver and Lauren Coleman and Monique Robinson.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching us on News 2, Fire Stick, Roku, and we're also on the News 2 app.
And coming up this half hour, we are talking about some of the new CBS shows that start tonight right here on WFMY, so we will be giving you a preview. But first, the big story today, the final farewell for a monarch who held her throne for decades. Millions around the world watched Queen Elizabeth II's funeral today. Her coffin traveled a long journey from London to Windsor for a public service at St. George's Chapel. Members of the royal family were with the coffin throughout the day, and now they have the chance to pay their respects in private during her burial. It wasn't just humans either. Queen Elizabeth's black pony Emma watched the procession pass by in the grounds of Windsor Castle. The Queen's two corgis, Sandy and Muick, were also brought out for the coffin's arrival.
Among the funeral guests today were Prince George and Princess Charlotte, the Queen's great-grandchildren, ages 9 and 7. They were some of the youngest in the audience. Now, their little brother, Prince Louis, did not attend. So attending a funeral, never easy for anybody at any age. Blanca Cobb joins us now. She has a master's in psychology. We're talking about young kids and funerals. So, Blanca, let's start out with how funerals, I know they can be overwhelming for kids of certain ages.
Absolutely. Young children, particularly where they are developmentally, they don't understand death and particularly the permanence of death. If we think about what goes on in young children's world when it comes to video games or it comes to cartoons or animated shows, what happens? The characters will die and then they come back to life. So developmentally, they're not quite there yet. And let's say that you do have a young child that's starting to grasp the concept of death and the permanence of death. Going to a funeral can be overwhelming because just the atmosphere is very serious and the range of emotions that they're witnessing can be intimidating for some young children.
So how can you help children deal with grief, if, say that like at a public funeral in this case?
Well, first you want to explain what they can expect. Just let them know what might be happening, what they might see. Sometimes knowing what's going to happen can ease some concerns or some insecurities that they might have. Also, physical reassurance is huge. Whether it's a hug, it's a kiss on the cheek, a rub on the back, even holding their hand is going to make them feel great, or better, I should say. And then also, as parents or as adults, what you want to do is model what you expect of the young children. So they're going to be watching you because you're so influential in their life. They're going to be watching how you're walking, how you're greeting people, how you're holding yourself, how you're carrying yourself, and they're going to model it. So please expect that as well.
So let's say you're in the middle of it, so it's during the funeral or maybe even the burial service. All that can be overwhelming. Give me some tips for parents of what you can do while that's going on to help reassure them.
One big tip, aside from the physical reassurance that I just mentioned, is when you're sitting or walking or standing, is to make sure you have parents on either side of the child or children, or close family members or friends who the child or children feel really comfortable with, I should say. And the reason this is important, because it's almost like they're being surrounded with this invisible shield of emotional protection. They get comfort because they're drawing from the adult's comfort who's right beside them. So when they're not feeling sure, they might lean on that adult or reach out and touch a hand, or they might look up at them. And it just makes them feel a whole lot better.
All right, Blanca, thank you so much for that advice. You can continue that conversation with Blanca on her Facebook page. It's Blanca Cobb, body language expert. Ben?
It's not just kids. So many of us got emotional watching the funeral today. For 7 hours, the world watched on as the Queen was laid to rest. Millions tuned in on TV, but only 2,000 mourners were actually allowed inside. So there's a lot of behind-the-scene moments you might have missed. We'll share them with you coming up at 5:45.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Orange County deputies are investigating after 2 teens were shot and killed Sunday. Investigators just identified the victims as 18-year-old Devin Clark and 14-year-old Lyric Woods. Family tells us Clark is a student at Eastern Alamance High School. A memorial now sits where 2 men on 4-wheelers found the victims Sunday afternoon. Officials have not yet released any more information, but say the investigation is ongoing. 14 straight weeks of relief at the pump. Gas Buddy says Greensboro gas prices fell again. This week they fell about 4.5 cents. That brings the average to about $3.28. Prices in Greensboro are 24 cents lower than last month. Some places even selling gas for as cheap as $2.69. The Winston-Salem area has also seen some relief. Drivers in that city also pay $3.28. Both cities have averages lower than the rest of the state. We're now waiting for a final decision on if Greensboro could host the 2027 World University Games. Representatives made their last site visit to the Greensboro Coliseum Sunday as officials hope to secure a bid. The games include 17 to 25-year-old students from all over the world competing in sporting events. If approved, the event could bring hundreds of millions for the economy. It's now down to just Greensboro and Korea. We'll keep you updated as soon as a decision is made.
I've talked about the temperatures. I've talked about Hurricane Fiona. Up next, the rain chances, and we're not seeing any for a little bit. You can see our satellite and radar is completely dry right now. Now, when we widen the view and we get to see a much larger picture, taking a view at some areas to the south of us, we do see some stuff happening offshore, but still mostly dry for both North Carolina and South Carolina. That sea breeze front bringing in some stuff for the late afternoon. As we look to the northeast, well, things are much busier, but again, here at home, things are pretty dry. As long as that high pressure stays in control, we are in the dry part of things. Now, as we go through this week, we could see a chance of rain as early as Thursday. Now, I do believe the front itself that's going to be moving through and bringing us that nice cool down will be mostly dry, but in the afternoon there is a small chance we could see a shower or two across the area, but again, it should be mostly dry. Now, your Friday, that's when things are dry. Your Saturday, another front approaches as we head into the early part of next week, and I think this front will bring us not only a reinforcement of cool air, but that will bring us the next best shot for getting to see some rain across the area. So low chance on Thursday, another round of it possible on Sunday into Monday, but we've been dry for quite a while, and I expect that to continue for at least tomorrow and the next day to follow.
All right, you know, there's nothing better than a bunch of small dogs running around having a blast and playing. That is, unless you add a charity aspect to the whole thing. Now throw in food, fun, and you've got a pretty cool event. It's called the Doxy Derby. I spoke with Stephanie Lomax about this and also the charity aspect, how it helps out with breast cancer research. I mean, that face says it all right there. That's the reason you have to come out to see the Doxy Derby. So this is the second time, because I helped you guys last year. We did this together. How did all this get started?
So breast cancer has just become such a big part of my life. My mom had it, my sister-in-law. I have so many friends, and it seems like every year there's another friend that gets diagnosed with it. So this was just something I felt like I needed to do to give back to the community.
And so what can people expect when we go to see this? Because I saw this last year and I didn't even know there was such a thing as like sanctioned dachshund races. Tell me about that.
So, well, there are sanctioned races. We are just doing it more for fun and fundraising. We're not as strict as some of the other ones are about the length of the race and all of that, those type things, but they do run like 20 or 30 yards depending on whether they're puppies or adults or seniors.
And then things to do while you're there, because even if you're not there for the races, there's so much going on.
There's going to be food trucks here. We have Pita Delight, we have pizza, we have all kinds of variety of foods and dessert options. Vendors will be here, photo booth, pumpkin patch, a DJ. So it's just going to be a super fun day.
It's a big party with dogs. You can't go wrong with
absolutely.
that. He's ready to race right now. Listen to him. He's like, let me go.
He's ready to go.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm sure this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, looking forward to it.
So cute, so much cuteness.
It's really cute. So there are actually these dachshund circuit races. I mean, you can go around the country.
It's like NASCAR.
Right. And these dogs compete. This is, I think there's a name for it. I can't remember what it was, but it's not one that counts for those races, but it is a race. And people bring their dachshunds out and they call them and they try to get them to run. And what's funny is when some of them won't run. And I was emceeing this thing last year, and we'd say, "Go!" and the dogs just stand there, just look around.
Stage fright.
Yes, yes. It was, but it's fun, and there's food and beverages and drinks, and they have like a mixed drink, like food truck, and then they have lots of food contests, live music. It's a blast.
Is there a costume component? Because
Yes.
I saw like the Snow White
Yes.
uniform, and then the different, the tie and the scarves.
There's a doggy costume contest also, and everybody brings
so
all their
cute.
dachshunds. Okay.
That's great. Have you ever seen where people will like freeze frame photos of dachshunds like running toward them, and the freeze frame is just like
With
Yeah,
the
and
ears.
the ears are like
Yes. And they're little tiny. Their legs look like bow legs in the back. They're so cute. Anyway, check it out. We'll have all this information on WFMYnews2.com. We'll be back. All right, it's time to get ready for all the new shows. The CBS fall season, it premieres this week.
Tonight starts with a special crossover episode. NCIS and NCIS Hawaii are teaming up for a major premiere.
Yeah, the 2-hour crossover features both teams working side by side.
NCIS, the mothership, is on their 20th season. We are on our 2nd season, so we literally are looking up to them.
We were super excited to have Vanessa and Jay here to show them a little bit more of the mothership and then follow the next episode of that night going to Hawaii. It was just really special to be able to tell a story on such a matter.
Tonight is also the premiere of The Neighborhood and Bob Hart's Abishola. Catch all the new shows starting tonight at 8 right here on WFMY News 2.
All right, so maybe you're not a big TV watcher, but movies may be more your thing.
As we head into the final months of the year, there are still some new releases to keep on your radar.
Here to break down what to watch for at the theater, WFMY News 2 movie critic Manning Franks.
Have you ever pondered, I wonder what's coming out later this year? But you don't have time to traverse through an ever-expansive Wikipedia page. Well, you're in luck. I did the work so you don't have to. Here are 4 films coming out later this year that you should have on your radar. Olivia Wilde's sophomore directorial effort, Don't Worry Darling, is a film shrouded in mystery. Florence Pugh and Harry Styles star in this psychological thriller about an isolated community where a 1950s housewife begins to uncover a disturbing secret about her husband and the company he works for. A mystery surrounding this seemingly utopian life is not a novel concept, but Wilde seems poised to bring us on a mind-bending journey that is sure to leave us in suspense. The movie will be in theaters September 23rd. In October of 2017, Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein was credibly accused of sexual misconduct by dozens of women. But what most people don't know is the investigative reporting that led up to that bombshell article from the New York Times. Adapted from the 2019 book of the same name, She Said depicts the journalistic work of Jodie Cantor and Megan Twohey as they attempt to reveal Weinstein's misconduct. As a journalist myself, these movies both excite and inspire. And from the trailer, She Said looks like it's going to be a good old-fashioned political drama in the vein of All the President's Men and Spotlight. This movie will be in theaters November 18th. Number 61, everybody! That's how many animated films Disney has made, and what do they have in store for their 61st animated feature? Well, Strange World follows the legendary Clyde family on an adventure to an uncharted land with fantastical environments and weird sci-fi creatures. Director Don Hall called it a nod to early 20th century pulp magazines, and that looks to be the case with this adventure for the whole family. And before you ask, no, it is not a musical. Strange World travels to theaters this November 23rd, just in time for Thanksgiving. Arguably my most anticipated film of the year, Empire of Light is directed by Oscar winner Sam Mendes and shot by Oscar winner Roger Deakins, who have teamed up previously for acclaimed films like 1917 and Skyfall from James Bond. Throw in the ever-lovely Olivia Colman as the lead, and this just seems like the stars have aligned. Empire of Light is a love story set within the 1980s on an English coastside in an old cinema, marrying a love for movies with the love for others. It looks to be a sentimental and heartfelt film with striking imagery. Empire of Light will come to theaters on December 9th. These are merely a fraction of all the different films coming out later this year. Honestly, I couldn't keep count of all of them. But I wanted to make sure you had a couple of films to watch out for. See what I did there? You get it. I'm Manning Franks, WFMY News 2.
All right, Manning, now I got a lot of things to put on my list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was telling these two that he's gotten so big now that Netflix contacted him about a review. They were showing a premiere, no, I guess it's a premiere, a preview. And he got invited to Charlotte for that by Netflix.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, very deserving. He is great at these reviews.
And I mean, he could win at a game of, what's the game where you have to connect all the words?
Scrabble?
Scrabble.
Yes, oh yeah, he would kill us on that.
His vocabulary is way beyond my knowledge.
Sometimes I have to go, okay, rewrite that, and this time say it so dummy here can understand what you're saying. Yeah, he's a smart guy.
So did you guys see any movies on the list you're interested in, or have you seen anything lately in theaters that
Disney
you like?
movie.
Okay.
That Disney movie that they...
The sci-fi look at, yeah, I would do that one too. Strange World.
Yep.
Okay, I want to see The Woman King. It wasn't on the list, but it's featuring Viola Davis, and I'm hearing that it did great. I know some people who went to see it this past weekend.
Anything she's in, she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see, we mentioned, Chad said I love The Incredibles, and that's why you like I do too.
Yeah.
I love that style of animation. The thing about The Incredibles I love is that they make fun of husband and wife arguing. It's so funny, which is so true. It's like so true.
Yeah, definitely a classic.
The husband doesn't ever listen to the wife.
And he always loses.
Right.
We'll be right back.
Hey guys, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together like a classic combination. All right, so we've been talking about all the pageantry, right, of the Queen's funeral, the sparkles, the finery, that kind of thing. I have it here on the left-hand side of the monitor here. Now, on the right-hand side, I have other finery and glitz and glitter, and the reason why is because she is called the Mum Queen. Yes, the.
I didn't even know what Instagram was. She called me the Mum Queen. Well, that's all it took. This year, our most expensive probably been about $1,300. And the average in here has been about, what, $450 to $500. Some people think they're outrageous and don't want to pay that price. You're either into it or you're not, basically. It's just like if you own a Louis Vuitton or you go to Target and buy your purse.
So here's the thing, these mum ribbons, they're used as like a corsage in Texas. And so it's like a tradition. The girls wear them on their homecoming dresses, even though they're like pounds and pounds and pounds, like 15, 20, 25 pounds.
Wow.
And did you hear how expensive
That's
they
what
were?
I was about to ask you.
$1,300.
Yeah.
I was like, that is expensive.
For like a corsage, basically?
Basically, and so behind you, I got the whole thing. So like there's a mum, right? There's like a flower mum that she makes.
Right.
And then she adorns it with all these like ribbons and sparkles and all kinds of things.
So I guess you case it afterwards or like put it
Yes.
somewhere where you can save it forever.
Yeah, but
When I hear this, I
Kinda
think of
pricey.
like you just won the blue ribbon at the county fair.
I know. All right, because this deals with football, it gives me a chance to remind you of this. You can vote for Friday Football Fever, the game of the week. You can check out the games up for grabs. Get your vote in by 5 p.m., right, on Wednesday? Isn't that right? All right, so don't hesitate. It's Monday. Monday, almost at 5 p.m. Go get it done.
All right, 3 things for you to know before we end this 4 p.m. hour. We're going to be warming up each day, near 90 degrees for some folks, going to reach that 90 Wednesday and Thursday, officially the first day of fall on Thursday, and then fall air arrives again for the weekend. That countdown to the fall equinox, the time exactly September 22nd at 9:03 p.m. Here's a look at your full 7-day with the numbers staying warm for the next couple of days and then crashing as we go into the weekend.
Government officials estimate as many as 1 million people went to see the Queen's coffin prior to her funeral.
Hello there, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go Buffalo. 1, 2, 3.
Yes, sir. Does it matter which one of us stands where at the V Homes?
Still having fun? Yeah. Hey, getting ready to talk about the Queen and the behind the scenes of today.
Lauren Coleman, WFMY News 2.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. A balloon release is taking place right now for 18-year-old Devin Clark. We're here at Eastern.
One of my favorite feelings is achieving a goal that you've been working on for a while. Today's the day. My credit score has finally crossed into the excellent category. I say this so you'll know the power of getting good advice. This happened for me because I listened to the experts. During the question and answer segments that air right here on WFMY News 2 at 5:30, we've had several money managers offer ways to boost credit scores. After talking with a lot of them and taking a lot of notes, my score shot up 80 points. The three big takeaways were cutting back on spending everywhere you can until your debts are paid down. One expert even said she stopped buying bacon because it had gotten too expensive, so I took the drastic step too. The second piece of advice that stuck with me was the Snowball method of paying off credit cards. Make at least the minimum payments on all of them, but add extra to the smallest debt until it's fully paid off. Then move to the next smallest debt. Build momentum like a snowball rolling downhill. And finally, once you have a money plan, be consistent, day in and day out. Change takes time. It took me about a year of making these changes to notice a real difference. You must trust the process. A process that starts with good advice from experts. You know, when something seems overwhelming or too complicated, never be scared to ask for help. That's my 2 cents. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now.
We begin with breaking news out of Orange County. A memorial is set up near the site where an Alamance County High School student was found dead. The Orange County Sheriff's Office says it found the bodies of 18-year-old Devin Clark and 14-year-old Lyric Woods last night. Clark went to Eastern Alamance High School.